from far above. It is only a spark. They told you heaven was above you. A kingdom in the clouds, a realm of sterile white wings, golden gates, and a throne blazing beyond mortal sight. They sold you a heaven that was an exit strategy, a place you go only when you are done with the earth. But what if the map you were given was incomplete? The Ethiopian Bible, the oldest and most expansive Christian canon in human history, does not place heaven in the sky at all. Everything you thought you knew about paradise begins to fall apart at the moment you open the Metzahaf Kudus. You are about to step into a world most of humanity has forgotten, a world preserved in 81 books recorded in ink that has outlived empires, a text written in Zeales, a language older than Latin, older than Arabic, guarding a secret that the Western Church systematically silenced. For centuries, the highlands of Ethiopia guarded a vision of heaven so different, so radical, so disorienting, that the world never integrated it into mainstream Christianity. According to these ancient texts, heaven is not distant. It is not floating. It is not unreachable. Heaven is beside you. Heaven is around you. Heaven is woven through the molecular structure of the world you walk every day. No angels with swan feathers. No towering pearly gates. No shining king watching from galaxies away. Instead, fields of living green. Rivers that possess intelligence, and beings of pure presence without bodies, without wings, without form, existing as columns of sentient light. If Tis is truer, then whose version of heaven have we been believing? And why was this perspective dismissed as an anomaly? We are the seekers who pry open the sealed pages, the ones who believe truth is not handed down. It must be recovered from the ruins of memory. Tonight, we unlock a door, the world nearly abandoned. A door carved in the living rock, a door into a paradise, unlike anything you've ever imagined. To understand why the Ethiopian Bible describes heaven so differently, you must first understand the land that refused to kneel. Ethiopia, ancient, unbroken, fierce in its theology. This was the only nation in Africa never fully colonized. Not even the great empires of Europe, armed with cannons, armies, and centuries of ambition, could erase its memory or rewrite its sacred imagination. This is the first crack in the story the world never told you. For thousands of years, while kingdoms rose and fell like breaths of dust, Ethiopia guarded its theology as a lion guards its cubs. Rome shaped Christianity for the West. Constantinople shaped it for the East. But Ethiopia shaped Christianity for itself. No Council of Nicaea, no Roman emperor, no foreign power ever dictated what its scriptures should contain. And that right there is the wave that begins everything. In the highlands of Axem, once one of the most powerful civilizations in the ancient world, faith was not imported. It was inherited. It was sung in GS shans that echoed off stone pillars. It was carved into the obelisks that scraped the sky like the memories of giants. And it was woven into royal bloodlines that dared to claim descent from Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. According to the Kibra, Nagusta glory of Kings Makeda, the Queen of Sheba, journeyed across desert and sea, not for gold, but for wisdom. She returned carrying a lineage, and legends say, the Ark of the Covenant itself. For Ethiopia, faith was not something adopted. It was something birthed, and because of this, no outside authority held the scissors that cut their canon. While the Western world eventually restricted its Bible to 66 books, creating a safe, manageable theology, Ethiopia preserved 81 books, 81 ancient voices, 81 windows into the unseen. When you add more books, specifically the apocalyptic texts like 1 Enoch, Jubilees, and the Maccabean, you don't just expand doctrine, you reshape the sky. Where others saw a distant throne, Ethiopia saw a living landscape populated by the Watchers and the Holy Ones. Where others imagined angels as winged warriors, Ethiopia described shimmering presences, the Seraphan Cherub, vibrating with the frequency of God. Where others lifted their eyes upward, Ethiopians stepped sideways into a heaven that touches the earth like mist touches stone. And it all began with those extra pages the world forgot. Imagine reading scriptures untouched by Rome, unfiltered by Renaissance art, unaltered by medieval political councils. In Ethiopia, faith remained intact because history itself failed to conquer it. The Muslims came, The Europeans came. The Marxists came. But none could rewrite what was written in G. If a nation preserved its theology independently for over a millennium, then its depiction of heaven might be closer to an older, forgotten memory of the early church one that predates Europe. What if Ethiopia's heaven is not different? What if it is original? Now, we must leave the map of the earth and enter the map of the soul. The Ethiopian Bible does not speak of heaven as a single, flat realm of clouds. It whispers of layers, drawing from the Book of Enoch and the Book of Mysteries. It describes 7 vast movements in a symphony of the unseen. Each one is not a location, but a state of being. The journey begins in Sakai. Layer 1, Sakai. The Garden of Release Sakai is not a throne room. It is a gardo, but not the manicured paradise of Western paintings. This is a living, breathing landscape where the air itself feels like relief. Imagine stepping into a valley where your chest finally loosens, where the chronic tension of survival falls away. Heaven, in this telling, does not begin with glory. It begins with release. Sakai is the threshold where the soul awakens to the reality that death was not an end, but a crossing. There is no trumpet blast. Only the quiet shock of realizing, I am still alive, and I am more myself than I have ever been. Layer 2, Cayama, the cleansing from there. The path reaches into Cayama, and the Western imagination, influenced by Dante and medieval fear. Any realm between earth and heaven is a place of purgatory fire, torment, payment of debts. But Ethiopian tradition turns the knife the other way. Cayama is a place of cleansing without cruelty. No flames licking at your heels. No demons dragging chains. Here, the soul sees its own wounds clearly and is healed, not punished. The pain you feel is not inflicted from the outside. It is the ache of the infection leaving the body. It is the removal of the false self. Layer 3. Mold the treasury of wisdom then. The path climbs into mold. If Sakai heals your exhaustion, and Cayama heals your scars, mold heals your ignorance. This is described as a treasury not of gold, but of wisdom. Itekos de tablis of heaven mentioned in the book of Jubilees. Every unresolved why you ever whispered into the dark is answered here. In mold, you are not shamed for your questions. You are fed. For the first time, the soul tastes what it means to know without the shadow of doubt. Layer 4, Baron de transparent light. Beyond mold lies barren. Barren is called a realm of light. But be careful, this is not the light of the sun that creates shadows. On earth, every light casts a shadow. Every truth has an opposing lie. In barren, there is no duality. You do not see things. You see through things. The Ethiopian vision suggests that heaven's light is less about brightness and more about absolute transparency. You see the essence of reality, unmasked. Layer 5. Mayos, the union of wills, and then comes Mayos. Here, something terrifying and beautiful happens. Up to this point, the soul still has its own separate will. It still has preferences. In Mayos, the I begins to dissolve, not as an erasure, but as an emerging. The soul discovers that what it truly wants is exactly what God wants. The lifelong civil war between my will and thy will ceases to exist. There is only one movement left, one desire, one direction. Mayos is not the death of personhood. It is the end of conflict. Layer 6. Zeales, the primordial sound after Mayos. Words begin to fail. We enter. Zeales. Zeales is described in terms that sound eerily like modern quantum physics. It is the realm of primordial sound. The vibration beneath all things. The logos. Imagine hearing the note that was struck at the moment of creation of frequency that holds the galaxies together. Here, heaven is not seen. It is heard. Zeales tells us reality itself is music, and heaven is simply vibrating in harmony with that original song. Lea Sietan Ara the brink finally. The path reaches Ara. Ara is not a room. It is a brink, an event horizon. A line so thin it can barely be called a line at all. Here, the distinction between creator and creation is reduced to a single breath. The soul stands as near to the monad, the source as a creature can stand without vanishing into the fire of existence. This is the third heaven of Paul, the high place of Enoch. It is the silence from which all sound comes. So, where did such a daring vision come from? Why did this land, out of all places on earth, imagine a heaven so near, so fluid, so unchained from the hierarchy of golden thrones? To answer that, you have to look at the architecture. Look at Lalibela. In the 12th century, King Lalibela sought to build a new Jerusalem in Africa, but he didn't build it like the Europeans built cathedrals. In the West, they built upward spires, piercing the sky, trying to escape the earth, trying to reach a distant god. But in Ethiopia, they carved downward. They hewed entire churches from single blocks of living rock. This is a physical sermon in stone. It says, God is not up there. God is in here, in the rock, in the soil, in the roots. They did not try to climb out of creation. They dug into it to reveal the holiness hidden inside. Their theology followed their geography. This is the doctrine of immanence, the belief that the divine saturates the material world. And this brings us to the present day. We live in an age of equations and telescopes. We send machines to Mars. We map the brain as if it were a star. And yet, the Ethiopian vision does not fight science. It rhymes with it. Think of Zeales, the realm of vibration. Long before string theory, Ethiopian mystics describe creation as built on resonance. Think of the Ethiopian concept of time. In the West, time is a straight line, a relentless arrow, from birth to death. But in the Ethiopian imagination, influenced by the cycles of the seasons and the liturgy, time coils, it spirals. Past, present, and future are folded together in the Zeman, the eternal now. Modern physics tells us that time is relative, that matter is energy, that observation changes reality. The Ethiopian Bible was saying this 1,500 years ago in the language of angels. It suggests that heaven is not a different location in the cosmos. It is a different frequency of the same reality. Sin, fear, and ego do not throw heaven away. They throw you out of tune. Salvation, then, is not a ticket to another planet. It is the slow, painful retuning of the human instrument until it resonates with the music that has been playing all along. This changes everything about how we live. If heaven is an upgrade of earth and not an escape from it, then the earth matters. The trees matter. The water matters. Your neighbor matters. Salvation is not a solo flight. It is a collective healing. In the Ethiopian village, survival depends on community. Ubuntu I am because we are. Therefore, their heaven is not a collection of isolated mansions. It is a network of souls shining together, a communion of saints that actually means something. We have walked through a forgotten map of paradise, from the uncolonized highlands to the 7 unseen realms, from the Rahun churches to a universe woven with the terrifying nearness of God. Why does the Ethiopian Bible describe heaven so differently? Because it refused to forget. While the rest of the world edited, sanitized, and politicalized the cosmos, Ethiopia held on to the wild, organic, mystical root of the faith. Their vision challenges us. It challenges the Western addiction to escape. It challenges the idea that matter is evil and spirit is good. It whispers a dangerous truth. Heaven is not different. It is simply bigger than your imagination has allowed. What if the Western Golden City and the Ethiopian living landscape are not rival maps? What if they are two sketches of the same country from different vantage points? We might be like children drawing the sun with yellow crayons, never realizing that what we are trying to capture could swallow whole galaxies in its fire. The Ethiopian tradition teaches us that all our images are parables, useful, beautiful, but incomplete. The true heaven is not contained by any single culture's art, any single church's metaphors. Every picture is a window. None of them are the sky. But if you begin to believe, as Ethiopia has for centuries, that heaven is God's nearness saturating a healed creation, then how you pray, how you forgive, and how you treat the world around you begins to change. You are no longer preparing to abandon the earth. You are rehearsing for its renewal. So, the next time you feel a sudden peace in a garden, or a shiver of presence in an empty room, or a moment of perfect clarity. Do not dismiss it. That is not your imagination. That is Sakai. That is mold. That is the veil thinning. Heaven is leaning toward you. The question is not, will I get there? The question is, am I awake enough to see that I am already on the border? If this vision stirred something in you, a memory of a home you've never visited, share it in the comments. This archive of lost knowledge is open. Like and subscribe to keep the door ajar, because in the next video, another forgotten light is waiting, and the mystery of God is still unfolding, just beyond the edge of what we think we know.